7:42 a.m. Lincoln High School is in chaos. A student posted a threatening message online. Police are searching lockers. Principal Davis is panicking. We need the FBI. This could be another school shooting. Meanwhile, Marcus, quietly monitoring the hallway cameras, stops and murmurs, "Not Tyler. Look at Jacob." By the end of the day, everyone would learn who Marcus really was. Marcus Webb, 58 years old, has been sitting at the security desk of Lincoln High School for 6 years. But his story began long before these linoleum-floored hallways became his daily routine. Born in Detroit to a police officer father, Marcus had always understood criminal behavior. At 23, he joined the FBI. Within 8 years, he became one of the Bureau's top behavioral analysts, profiling serial killers, predicting terrorist attacks, identifying threats before they materialized. For 22 years, Special Agent Marcus Webb was the person they called when the profile was impossible, when the behavior didn't fit patterns, when lives hung in the balance. But life has a way of breaking even the strongest. In 2017, Marcus worked a case that shattered him, a school shooting he'd predicted 3 weeks too late. 15 children died. He'd seen the warning signs in the shooter's social media, recognized the behavioral markers, but his report was delayed in bureaucratic review. Now, when the shooting happened, Marcus blamed himself. The FBI offered trauma counseling. He chose resignation instead. The pension wasn't enough for early retirement. Marcus moved to a small town in Ohio, looking for peace and anonymity. When he saw a job posting for a security guard at Lincoln High School, something drew him to it. Maybe he could protect students even if he couldn't profile criminals anymore. He applied using only his high school diploma, never mentioning the FBI, the behavioral analysis, or the 22 years of reading minds that normal people couldn't understand. That morning, the school erupted when a student's Instagram post went viral. "Tomorrow won't be a normal day at Lincoln. Some people deserve what's coming." The post came from Tyler Morrison's account, a quiet 16-year-old junior with a history of being bullied. Principal Robert Davis, a man in his early 50s who ran the school with administrative efficiency, immediately called the police. Within an hour, the school was swarming with local officers, a bomb-sniffing dog, and growing panic. "Lock down all classrooms," Davis ordered, his voice tight. "Search every locker. Tyler Morrison, bring him to my office immediately." Marcus watched from his security desk as officers searched lockers, teachers herded frightened students into classrooms, and chaos consumed the school he'd spent 6 years quietly protecting. He pulled up Tyler's file on his computer, something he did for every student, tracking patterns that no one asked him to track. And Tyler Morrison, straight-A student, chess club, no disciplinary record, recently lost his mother to cancer, living with grandparents. Classic bullying victim profile, isolated, grieving, vulnerable, but not a threat. And Marcus had studied behavioral markers for 2 decades. Tyler fit the victim pattern, not the perpetrator pattern. He switched cameras to the north hallway, where Tyler was being escorted by 2 police officers. The boy's body language was all wrong for someone who'd made a threat. He was confused, scared, crying, not defiant, not relieved that his plan was interrupted, just terrified. Marcus's profiler instincts, dormant for 6 years but never truly gone, activated like muscle memory. In the principal's office, Tyler sat between his grandparents and a lawyer, sobbing. "I didn't post that. Someone hacked my account. I lost my mom. I know what it's like to hurt. I would never hurt anyone." Detective Lisa Chen from the local police department wasn't convinced. "Tyler, your account, your phone, your login." The post came from your IP address at 11:47 p.m. last night. "Were you home?" "Yes, but I was asleep. My phone was charging in the kitchen." Detective Chen looked at Principal Davis. "We need to take him in for questioning. Given the current climate with school threats, we can't take chances." Marcus had been listening from the hallway, observing through the office window. His 6 years of invisibility warred with 22 years of training that screamed this was wrong. He knocked on the office door. "Not now, Marcus," Davis said dismissively. "We're handling a crisis." "Principal Davis, I need to tell you something." "Marcus, we have police here, professionals. Can this wait? It's about the post." Tyler didn't write it. The room went silent. Detective Chen looked at Marcus with barely concealed annoyance. "And you are?" Marcus Webb. "School security." "Well, Marcus, we appreciate your concern, but we have forensic evidence. You have a login from his IP address. That's not the same as evidence that Tyler typed those words." Chen's expression hardened. "Are you questioning police procedure?" Principal Davis stood up. "Marcus, please. We have actual law enforcement here. Your job is to check IDs at the door." But Marcus couldn't stop. Not when he could see what they were missing. Tyler's behavioral profile doesn't match a threat maker. Look at his body language. He's exhibiting genuine fear, confusion, not the relief or defiance typical of perpetrators whose plans are interrupted. Behavioral profile? Chen laughed. "Are you a psychologist now?" "Detective, before you arrest the wrong student, you should check Jacob Porter's behavioral patterns over the past 3 weeks." The room went still. Davis slowly sat back down. Jacob Porter? The football captain? Why would he? Because Tyler was dating Emily Richardson. Jacob wanted Emily. 2 weeks ago at the homecoming dance, Emily chose Tyler over Jacob. That's motive. And if you check the security footage from last night, you'll see Jacob had access to the computer lab until 11:45 p.m. during open gym, and Detective Chen pulled out her tablet. "How do you know all this?" "Because I watch. That's my job. I see patterns." Davis looked uncomfortable. "Marcus, you're just a security guard. You check doors and watch cameras. You're not qualified." To profile behavior, Marcus met his eyes. "You're right. I'm just a security guard now." Detective Chen was already pulling up Jacob Porter's social media. Her expression changed as she scrolled. And these posts. Increasing hostility toward Tyler. Veiled threats about losers getting what they deserve. In recent searches about framing people for crimes. She looked up. "How did you know?" 22 years of reading behavior. You learn to see what people hide. 22 years? Chen studied Marcus more carefully. "What did you do before security?" Before Marcus could answer, a school counselor burst into the office. "Principal Davis!" Jacob Porter just left campus. He told his coach he was sick, but someone saw him putting a backpack in his truck. A large backpack. Marcus was already moving toward the door. "Detective, we need to find Jacob now." The post said, "Tomorrow won't be normal. He's not planning an attack. He's planning to run. He framed Tyler, and now he's panicking because police are here sooner than expected." "You can't possibly know." "I know because I've done this job for 2 decades. Not school security, behavioral analysis, FBI." The room erupted in shocked voices, but Marcus was already at his security computer, pulling up camera feeds. Jacob's truck, blue Ford F-150, left the north parking lot 3 minutes ago. "Detective, if you want to catch him before he destroys evidence or worse, we need to move now." Chen made a split-second decision. "All units, be on lookout for blue Ford F-150, Jacob Porter, 17-year-old white male. Consider him a person of interest." As police mobilized, Davis grabbed Marcus's arm. "FBI? You were FBI? And Behavioral Analysis Unit, 22 years. Specialized in threat assessment and criminal profiling. And you've been working as our security guard?" "Yes." "Why didn't you tell us?" Marcus looked at Tyler, still crying with his grandparents. "Because I failed once. Missed signs that got 15 children killed. I thought I'd stop profiling, stop analyzing, just check doors and watch cameras." But you can't turn off what you've spent 2 decades learning to see. Within an hour, police found Jacob at a storage unit on the edge of town. Inside, detailed plans for a real attack, weapons stolen from his father's gun safe, and evidence that he'd hacked Tyler's Instagram account to frame him. Jacob had been planning to attack the school for weeks, but needed a scapegoat. Tyler, isolated, grieving, easy to manipulate, was perfect. When Jacob was arrested, he was defiant. "You can't prove anything," Detective Chen smiled. "Actually, we can, because someone saw through your plan. Someone who knows how people like you think." Back at the school, as police processed the scene and counselors talked to traumatized students, Principal N. Davis found Marcus at his security desk. "Marcus." "Agent Webb." "I don't know what to say." "You don't need to say anything." "Yes, I do. We had an FBI behavioral analyst working security for 6 years, and we never knew. How many threats have you quietly identified? How many situations have you diffused that we never even knew about? Marcus pulled up a file on his computer. 47 potential situations over 6 years. Students showing warning signs. Interventions I made through counselors without identifying myself. Patterns I saw and quietly redirected. Nen 47, Davis sat down heavily. You've been protecting this school all along. That's why I took this job. The FBI. What happened? Why did you leave? Marcus told him about the 2017 shooting. The report delayed. The 15 children. The guilt that followed him into early retirement in. I thought if I could just watch, just be present, I could stop it from happening again. But I promised myself I'd never profile again, never trust my analysis again. Until today, when I saw you about to arrest the wrong student, Detective Chen joined them holding her tablet. Agent Webb, sorry Marcus, I ran your name through FBI databases. Your record is impressive. Multiple commendations. Solved cases that had entire departments stumped. Why would someone with your expertise end up checking student IDs? Because expertise doesn't matter if you're too late. I was 3 weeks too late in 2017, but you were 3 hours early today, Chen said quietly. If you hadn't spoken up, we'd have arrested Tyler. And Jacob would have attacked tomorrow when security was focused on the wrong student. You saw what we missed. Over the following weeks, the story spread through Lincoln High School. The quiet security guard who never said much was actually an FBI legend. Students who'd barely acknowledged him now looked at him differently. Teachers who'd treated him like furniture stopped to thank him. But the biggest change came from Principal Davis. Marcus, I want to offer you a different position. Threat Assessment Coordinator. You'd still be security, but you'd also work with counselors to identify at-risk students, train staff on warning signs, develop prevention programs. The salary is triple what you're making now. Marcus looked out at the hallway where students laughed and chatted, unaware of how close they'd come to tragedy. I don't need the money or the title, but if I can keep watching, keep seeing patterns, keep these kids safe, yes. Why do you do it? After what happened, after the guilt, why put yourself back in that position? Because I have a gift. I can see what others miss, and gifts aren't for hiding. They're for using. 6 months later, Marcus stood in front of the entire school faculty during professional development training. No longer just the security guard, but openly acknowledged as Lincoln High's threat assessment expert. Most school violence is preventable, he told the assembled teachers. Not through metal detectors or armed guards, but through observation. Students who plan attacks almost always show warning signs weeks or months in advance. Changes in behavior, social media posts, drawings, writings, statements to peers. Your job isn't to be law enforcement. It's to be present, attentive, and willing to report concerns. A young teacher raised her hand. Mr. Webb, how do we know what's normal teenage angst versus an actual threat? That's what I'm here for. You report the concern. I do the analysis. Together, we keep students safe. But you missed signs once, in 2017. How do we trust? You shouldn't trust blindly, Marcus interrupted gently. I made a mistake that cost 15 lives. I'll carry that forever. But I've also correctly identified hundreds of threats over my career. The question isn't whether I'm perfect. I'm not. The question is whether we're doing everything we can to protect students. And that includes using every resource available, including someone who spent 22 years studying violent behavior. The training ended with teachers lined up to give Marcus their observations, concerns about students, questions about warning signs. He listened to each one, making notes, seeing patterns. That evening, as Marcus locked up the building, Detective Chen stopped by. Marcus, the FBI called me. They want you back. Said they need experienced behavioral analysts for a new school safety task force. Marcus shook his head. I'm done with the Bureau, but you could help more schools, prevent more attacks. I can help this school. These students, I see them every day, know their names. Watch them grow. That matters. Chen smiled. The FBI legend who became a school security guard who became a school safety coordinator. It's quite a story. It's not about the story. It's about being where I can do the most good. A year later, Lincoln High School had implemented one of the most comprehensive threat assessment programs in the state. Marcus trained teachers, counseled students, coordinated with local law enforcement, and yes, still checked IDs at the door because that's where he could see everyone. Watch patterns. Notice changes. Be present. And yes, what prevented a tragedy at Lincoln High wasn't technology, armed guards, or lockdown drills. It was Marcus's 22 years of experience, seeing what others missed, his willingness to speak up despite 6 years of invisibility, and the quiet wisdom that no one valued until it saved lives. Sometimes the greatest protection comes from the most unexpected places. Sometimes expertise is hidden behind a security desk, watching, waiting, ready to see the patterns that prevent tragedy. And sometimes the person checking your ID at the door is the most qualified person in the building to keep you safe, not because of their job title, but because of gifts they carry, whether anyone acknowledges them or not. In a world increasingly dependent on technology and protocols, Marcus Webb reminded everyone that human observation, experience, and the willingness to act on what you see can still prevent tragedy. The Invisible Man was a legend, and the gift he thought he'd buried was the gift that saved lives when it mattered most.